By Brian Smith.
Heather Smith,
Lisa Smith.
Amanda Weller. One of the greatest opportunities that technology has to bring us is the ability for those who have more and those who know more to help those who don't.
Technology is a great way to connect students all over the globe. Um, Depending on how technology is used, it can help or it can hinder in the educational process. Being respected by their teachers as individuals and not treated as kids who don't know much and thus have to learn has been a big success for technology learning. The children feel like they're being respected by their teacher and have a little bit more leeway as to how they're going to learn. Group work has been a success because it allows students to collaborate with their ideas with each other. There is issues though with slackers not doing their part and other people having to do it for them. The teachers that ask good questions and provide context, ensuring rigor and evaluating the quality of students' work will make the technology learning process a success. The teacher is the coach and will guide the use of technology for effective learning. My thoughts would be that it starts with the teacher, the willingness to venture out and start the use of technology in the classroom. Take, for instance, field trips. There's endless possibilities of field trips that you would normally not have enough funds for the students to make across the country. They're able to maybe do Skype with other classrooms, or if it's to different sites or places, they can Skype in to be able to view the information sitting in the classroom, not even having to go anywhere. It doesn't cost any money, and therefore the students are able to learn something new with the use of technology. We must keep an open mind and be willing to change with technology because it's ever changing.
Okay, there are many technological tools available for students to express their learning and their creativity. Prinsky, in Prinsky's book, he says, for any guiding questions in any subject, there currently exist many ways of creatively answering it and creatively presenting that answer. Basically, the more students are encouraged to do this, then the better prepared they'll be for their future. When students are truly allowed to create and when they're given that opportunity, I feel that they come up with works of higher quality. And Prinsky also backs that up, saying that many educators declare themselves surprised by what their students accomplish. One of the most surprising things you can do for students who are trying to learn to express themselves and create a new media is to bring in professionals to help kids teach the kids the tricks of their trades. Prinsky also gives another good example. Teachers must always be looking for good examples and practices from others, even from a student. Students who have those tools accessible to them will be capable of helping others, not only themselves, but other students as well. I also found evidence from www.ed.gov, and basically it just says that technological tools supports learning 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It builds 21st century skills. It increases student engagement and motivation, and it accelerates learning. EduTopia also says technology also changes the way teachers teach, offering educators effective ways to reach different types of learners and access student understanding through multiple means. Teachers grow into roles of advisors, content experts, and coach, and technology helps teaching technology helps make teaching and learning more meaningful and fun. I agree with Prinsky. I believe he has some valid arguments. Based on his assessment of using technology to help others who do not have or know as much, I agree that it doesn't matter if a teacher does not know how to use all aspects of a tool that a student does, because they won't. No one will. It does matter, though, that a teacher allows the student to create using these tools based upon the student's level of capability, even if this is different for each student. Isn't it nice that we have answers to any questions we could possibly dream up right at our fingertips? There is no reason a student could not collaborate and expand on their thinking or assignments. Everything they need to know is accessible to them 24/7.
On page 101, Prinsky stated that students can use technology much more effectively than most teachers can, and when they can't, they need to learn to do so and not have it done for them. With this in mind, you don't want to do the child's work for them. You want the child to learn how to do it themselves. However, you are helping the child learn how to correctly use the source of technology. Teachers should know all about technology, and new technology is constantly being created. Encourage your students to use more than one technology. If the students do become familiar with the lot, they will be able to help other students or even you, the teacher. As a teacher, it's okay to point out a student's error in technology. However, instead of telling the student they did wrong, use well-constructed questions to correct them. Prinsky also listed several tools that technology has to offer. There were several that he listed. Keep in mind that these are constantly changing. Not everyone is going to be familiar with all the technology's tools. For instance, those who know of or interfere with these tools can share or collaborate with someone who has never used the tool. Most of these tools can be very helpful to students and teachers. My evidence or agreement is that I agree with all the evidence that I came across, because I think that technology is important in a student's education. Without technology, I do not know where I would be at today. The world would be very different without the use of technology.
Well, in Prinsky's evidence that I found about technology, he talked about partner classes. And with this, it's different than a traditional class in the sense that students aren't sitting at desks working on worksheets and doing work like that, but they're in group works, working with like iPads and making videos. So he talked about that. And then also he talked about the teachers being comfortable with the technology and being able to teach it and show it to the students so that the students can go on and use it themselves. He also talked about with teachers and parents, for them to have that communication. The teachers, they need to communicate to the parents the type of technology that they're using in the classrooms and why they're using that. Prinsky said that some parents, they know instinctively that the 21st century is different, and they see the changes all around them, and what they really want is to be assured that their children are well prepared for their future in using technology. And he also talked about with the schools, enforcing that with using, internet sites and websites, and he said that it helps enormously when a school or district employs technology as a means to reach out to parents via Wi-Fi, and sending out blogs and different things like that. And I agree with him, because I think with this world, the students, they're going to need to be able to use technology and use websites and use blogs and create videos, because that's going to help them, for their future, and that's what the world is coming to. So I think it's important that the teachers are also comfortable in using it so they can teach it effectively.
Brianne, how do you plan to keep parents informed of technology that you're using in your classroom?
Well, I plan to have a weekly class letter that will be sent home every Monday. And in that newsletter, I'll include the different types of technology that we're going to be using for the week, like websites or iPad apps and different things that we'll be using for the lessons.
Heather, in what ways do you think that the use of technology will help the struggling student?
Well, I think that students will be able to feed off of one another. They'll help each other. They'll look at their peers for that help, and it can only just create a domino effect positively.
And Amanda, how many technological tools do you plan to introduce to your class?
I plan to encourage my students to use as many technology sources as they come across. I want them to become familiar with a lot of them, not just one or all of them.
Lisa, how could schools in low-income areas incorporate technology into the classroom when they are incapable of taking field trips?
You can conference another class from across the country in to talk with students, and they can help each other. That's a good way of not having the sources for kids to be able to attend.
Brienne, what do you think is the best way to spread the knowledge and use of technology in your classroom?
I think that peer-to-peer is an excellent and possibly the best way to spread knowledge and the use of technology among students, because in this digital age, students are going to have to work in groups and be able to do that using technology. Also, because of the power of peer-to-peer learning. For some partnering tasks, such as understanding or evaluating a particular text, or finding a solution to a problem. And putting 2 or 3 students in front of a single computer may be as good as or even better than having a student work individually, because they get that support from their peers.
Amanda, if a student makes an error while using technology, how would you handle this?
It's normal for students to make errors. Instead of telling the student what they have done wrong, I would use well-constructed questions to correct them. Lisa, depending on how technology is used, can help or hinder. Depending on how technology is used, can it help or hinder the education process?
It will be able to help the education process, and it's from all over the globe. It's just not here locally. It's all over. It's endless.
And Brienne, why do you think that it would be better to put 2 or 3 students in front of a computer rather than just one student?
I think this will be beneficial. As I said before, is the peer-to-peer, using that the students can work together, they learn how to work with others, and they also get that support from the other students.
And Heather, do you think teachers learn from students? And explain Heather.
I do. I think teachers should always look for examples from their students. I believe that there's always something to learn, no matter how old the person is. A student can definitely teach you new ways of doing things, and definitely those who know more can help those who don't in any situation.
Lisa, how would you incorporate the use of technology in your classroom?
I would use it during my lessons. I would use the smartboard to incorporate different activities to go along with the lesson for the day. The smartboard in my class will take the place of worksheets for students. I would also set up Skype discussions with other classrooms around the world.
Heather, how would you incorporate the help of professionals in your classroom?
I think one of the most inspiring things that a teacher can do for a student, especially a student that's trying to learn to express themselves and create in a new way, is to bring in professionals to help those students. Many times there's not funding or access to these professionals, but one way that technology helps is that you have YouTube tutorials, you have Skype, you have blogs, you have so many different tools that you have access to for free or little to nothing that can always help your children in many ways.
And Amanda, what are some of the sources of technology that you found while being in EDM 310 that you could possibly use in your classroom?
I found several sources. Sources that I would use would be Prezi, Google Drive, Blogger, and Skype.
Thank you.